Hello everyone, I am Palak Jain, Assistant Professor, PG Department of Computer Science, RI College Ludhiana. Today my presentation topic is deadlocks. First of all, what is deadlock? So, it is a set of block processes, each holding a resource and waiting to acquire a resource held by another process in the set. It means that the deadlock situation occurs when two or more processes attempt to access a resource which is locked by another process and cannot be shared. Here are some of the examples of deadlock. First example is if the system has two disk drives, then P1 and P2 are the processes which hold one disk drive and each needs another one. Another example is if the two train approaches each other at crossing, so both will come to full stop and neither shall start until the other has gone. Now this is the example of deadlock. As we can see the bridge, so traffic only in the one direction and the each section of the bridge can be viewed as a resource. If the deadlock occurs, it can be resolved if one car backs up. So several cars may have to be backed up if the deadlock occurs. So in this presentation, what are we covering? To develop a description of deadlocks which prevent the set of concurrent processes from completing their tasks and to present a number of different methods for preventing a deadlock in the computer system. System models. Each resource type Ri has Wi instances. So we can represent the resources as R. So there are different resources like R1, R2 up to Rm. System has two CPUs, then the resource type CPU has two instances. So each process utilizes a resource as follows. First of all, we have to follow the three steps in this. First one is request. Then we use that resource and then after using that resource, we have to release it. So these are the characters of the deadlock. The deadlock can arise if the four conditions hold simultaneously. The conditions are, first one is mutual exclusion. So in this, only one process at a time can use a resource. So mutual exclusion means that the resource can be used by only one process at a time. Second one is hold and wait. So the processes involved in the deadlock acquires at least one resource and wait for at least another resource that has been acquired by the another process. Third, no preemption. So the resource can be released only voluntarily by the process holding it after that process has completed its task. So resource can be released. Then last is circular wait. So the circular chain or the circular relationship exists among the process involved in the deadlock. In this, a chain, each process waits for the resource that is held by the another process in the chain. Now, the resource allocation graph. So, deadlocks can be described in term of directed graph, that is system resource allocation graph. In this graph, we have a set of vertices which is denoted by V and the set of edges which is denoted by E. Then P equals to P1, P2 up to Pn. These are the processes in the system. And R, which is R1, R2 up to Rm, these are the resource types in the system. So there are two edges in the resource allocation graph. First one is request edge that is directed edge, when the process is requested for the resource. Second is assignment edge, that is also directed edge. It means when the resource is assigned to process. Now, these are some of the pictures that are the process. First of all, this is process. So process is represented by a circle. Second is resource type with 4 instances. So this is a resource and it has 4 instances. This can be represented like the square. Then PI request instance of RJ. So it can be represented like this if PI request for the instance RJ. If Pi is holding an instance of Rj, then we can represent it as this, that is Pi holds Rj. So this is the example of resource allocation graph. In this, there are 3 processes P1, P2 and P3, and there are 4 resources R1, R2, R3 and R4. R1, R2, R3 and R4. They have different number of instances. R1 and R3 has 1 instance, R2 has 2 instances and R4 has 3 instances. So different processes, they holds the different resources. So resource allocation graph with the deadlock, when the deadlock occurs. If P1 holds the resource R1 and R1 is holding by the process P2 and P2 holds R3. R3 is given to P3. P3 holds instance of R2 and R2 resources hold by P1. So this is created a cycle which is a deadlock. Again, second deadlock can occur if P2 is holding the resource R3 and R3 is held by P3. P3 holds R2 and R2 again holds by P1. So again the deadlock occurs. So graph with the cycle but no deadlock. As we can see in this figure that the P1 holds the instance of R1. R1 holds by the process P3, P3 holds the resource R2 and R2 holds by the process P1. As the cycle occurs in this, but there is no deadlock because the P4 may release instances of resource R2. Then it can be allocated to P3. So no deadlock occur in this figure. So resource allocation graph, we can conclude it that if the graph contains no cycle, that means no deadlock. If the graph contains a cycle, then there are 2 possibilities. First one, if only one instance per resource type, then the deadlock occur. If several instances per resource type, then the possibility of the deadlock is 50-50. Now, the methods for handling the deadlock. First of all, we can deal with the deadlock problem in 3 ways. That is, first one is prevention or avoidance. It means ensure that the system will never enter a deadlock state. Second one is detection or correction. That allows the system to enter a deadlock state but it can recover later. Then third one is ignorance. Ignore the problem and pretend that the deadlock never occurred. So, methods for handling the deadlock. First of all is prevention, that we can write about it. So prevention, the set of methods for ensuring that at least one of the condition cannot hold. Then we can prevent from deadlock. Avoidance, operating system be given the information about the resources request used in advance. So restrain the ways request can be made. First of all, the mutual exclusion. Okay, first of all, we have to read about the deadlock prevention. In this, first one is mutual exclusion. It means not required for the shareable resources but must hold for the non-shareable resources. For example, a printer cannot simultaneously shared by the several processes. It can only hold by one process at a time. Second one is hold and wait. It must guarantee that whenever the process requests for the resource, it doesn't hold any other resource. Like, for example, in this, we must ensure that if we can prevent the process that holds the resource from waiting for more resources, we can eliminate the deadlock. So, it requires a process to request and be allocated all its resources before it begins execution. Or, it allows the process to request the resources only when the process has none. Third one is no preemption. In this, if the resource that is holding some resource requests another resource that cannot be immediately allocated to it, then all the resources currently being held are released. So, the preemption can be applied to those resources whose states can be easily saved and later restored. For example, CPU registers and memory space. So, if the process is requesting another resource, then it is available if it is given to requesting process. And if it is held by another process which is waiting for another resource, then we can release it and give it to the requesting process. And last one is circular wait. In this circular wait, this method ensures that the circular chain of process is not formed in the system. So the circular wait can be eliminated in the different ways. One way is to use a rule, like a process is entitled only to the single resource at any moment. If it needs a second one, then it must release the first one. So another way to avoid the circular wait is to provide a global numbering of all the resources in the system. So in such a system, a process can request resources only in the numerical order. Then the second one is deadlock avoidance. How we can avoid the deadlock? First of all, it requires the additional information about how the resources are to be used. So, the simplest and the most useful model requires that each process declare the maximum number of resources of each type that it may need. So, a deadlock avoidance algorithm dynamically examines the resource allocation state to ensure that the circular wait occurs can never exist. So resource allocation state is defined by the number of available and the allocated resources and the maximum demands of the processes. First of all, we will study about the safe state. What is safe state? Like a state is safe if the system can allocate the resource to each process in some order and still avoid a deadlock. So a system is said to be in the safe state if there is a safe execution sequence. So, a safe execution sequence is an execution sequence in which all the processes run to its completion. So, system is in the safe state if there exists a safe sequence of all the processes, like a sequence P1, P2 up to Pn of all the processes is a system such that for each Pi, the resource that Pi can still request can be satisfied by currently available resource and resource held by all the Pj. So that is, if Pi resource needs are not immediately available, then the Pi can wait until all the Pj have finished. When Pj is finished, then the Pi can obtain their needed resources and execute it, return allocating the resources and then terminate its process. So when Pi terminates, then another process can obtain its needed resources and so on. In this way, safe state exists. So, safe, unsafe and deadlock state. As we can see in the figure that deadlock state, unsafe state and safe state. So if the system is in the safe state, that means no deadlock can occur. But if the system is not in the safe state, there are possibility of deadlock. So the operating system cannot prevent processes from requesting the resources in the sequence that leads to the deadlock. So we can avoid it by ensure that the system will never enter an unsafe state, preventing getting into the deadlock. This is the example of safe state. Like for we have maximum needs and the current needs. There are three processes P0, P1 and P2, and the maximum needs of these processes are given and the current need of these processes are given. Suppose the processes P0, P1 and P2 share the 12 magnetic tape drives. Currently 9 drives are held among the processes and 3 are available. So the question arises, is the system currently in the safe state or no? The answer is yes, because the safe sequence is P1, P0 and then P2. In this system, we can see that the system in the unsafe state. So in this, maximum needs are given and the current needs are given. Suppose the process P2 requests and is allocated one more tape drive. It means now P2 has 3 current needs. Then the question arises, is the resulting state still safe? Answer no. Why? Because does not exist a safe sequence anymore. So only P1 can be allocated its maximum need. Its maximum need is 10 and its current need is 5. So if P0 and P2 request 5 more drives and 6 more drives respectively, then the resulting state will be deadlocked. So these are the key ideas. First one is initially the system is in the safe state. So whenever the process requests an available resources, then the system will allocate the resource immediately only if the resulting state is still safe. Otherwise, no allocation is there. Right? Otherwise, the requesting process must wait for the resource. So this is the deadlock avoidance algorithm. First of all, single instance of the resource type. As we can use the resource allocation graph for this, and the cycles and accessory, they are the sufficient for the deadlock for the single instance. If there are multiple instances of the resource type, then we can use the banker's algorithm and the cycles and accessory, but it is not sufficient for the deadlock. So resource allocation graph algorithm. In this, we have claim edge, that is Pi to Rj. It indicates that the process Pj may request the resource Rj and it is represented by the dashed lines. So the claim edge converts to the requested edge when the process requests a resource. Whenever the process requests for the resource which is claimed firstly, then it is converted into the request edge. So the request edge converted to the assignment edge when the resource is allocated to the process, so it changes into the assignment edge. So whenever the process is released by the process, again the assignment edge is reconverted to the claim edge. So in this way, the resource allocation graph algorithm works. So we can see this in this figure, as there are two resources R1 and R2 and two processes P1 and P2. So P2 is requesting for the resource R2. P2 is requesting for the resource R1, but R1 is already allocated to P1. So both the processes have a claim on the resource R2. So what happens if the P2 now requests the resource R2? As we can see the dashed lines, this is the claim edge. So cannot allocate the resource R2 to process P2. Why? Because the resulting state is unsafe. If we allocate the resource R2 to the process P2, then the system is not in this unsafe state and deadlock may occur. So P1 could request the R2, therefore it creates the deadlock. So it means this in this figure we can see that the cycle occurs if the P1 request for the resource R2. So it may possible that this figure or this processes are in the deadlock state. So use only when there is a single instance of each resource type. Suppose that the process Pi requests a resource Rj. So the request can be granted only if converting the request H to an assignment H does not result in the formation of cycle in the resource allocation graph. Then we can convert the request H to the assignment H. So first of all, we have to check the cycle in the system. Is the cycle occur or not? So this is the Banker's algorithm. So it is applicable for the multiple instance of the resources. Like this algorithm only occur in the multiple instances, not for the single instance. So each process claims the maximum resource needs a priority. It means priority should be given. So whenever the process requests the resource, it must have to wait. So whenever the process gets all of its resources, it must return them in the finite amount of time. So the time is given to all the processes to complete its task and for the resources. So Banker's algorithm, in this we have N and M. N is the number of processes and M is the number of the resource types. So first of all we have available. In this that the vector of the length M, if available of j equals to k, then there are k instances of the resource type Rj available. Maximum is n multiplied by m matrix. This is in the form of matrix. If maximum I comma j equals to k, then the process Pi may request at most k instances of the resource type Rj. This is the maximum need. Allocation is also represented in the matrix form, that is n into m, that is number of process multiplied by number of resource types. If the allocation, that is I comma j equals to k, that means the Pi is currently allocated the k instances of Rj. And last one is need. It is in the matrix form n into m. If the need of ij equals to k, it means that the process Pi may need the k more instances of the Rj to complete its tasks. So, the formula of the need. How can we find the need? Need equals to maximum minus allocation. If we have maximum 10 resource, if we needed the 10 resources and only 5 are allocated, then 10 minus 5 equals to 5. That is the need of the process, that the resources which a process needs. So resource, how many resources that are needed can be calculated by this formula. So let's work and finish with the vectors of length m and n respectively. This is the safety algorithm. First of all, initialize work equals to available and finish equals to false for I equals to 0, 1 up to n minus 1. So this is find an I such that both the finish of I equals to false and need is less than equals to work. Need should always be less than or it should be equal to the work. So if no such I exists, then we can go to step 4. It means we can finish of I equals to true for all the I. It means the system is in the safe state. But if I exist, then the third step is work equals to work plus allocation. Then the finish of I equals to true. Again it can go to step 2. Again step 2 again works, then it can search for the I. If I exists, then it can again go to step 3 If no such I exists, then go to step 4. In this way, the system works. So Banker's algorithm for the resource calculation algorithm. So it means the request equals to what is request? So request vector for the process Pi. If the request of j equals to k, then it means that the process Pi wants the k instances of the resource type Rj. So first condition is that if the request is less than equals to need, then go to step 2. Otherwise, it can create the error condition because the process has exceeded its limit. Second, if the request is less than equals to available, then go to step 3. So otherwise, the PI must wait since the resources are not available. In third step, pretend to allocate the requested resources to the PI by modifying the state as follows. Like available equals to available minus request, then we can find the available. And allocation can be defined by allocation plus request. And what is the need? Need equals to need minus request. If state is in the safe state, then the resources are allocated to the PI. If it is in the unsafe state, then PI must wait and the old resources allocation state is restored. So this is the example of the Banker's algorithm. For example, 5 processes P0 through P4, like P0, P1, P2, P3, P4. There are 5 processes and 3 resource types A, B and C. A has 10 instances, B has 5 instances and C has 7 instances. For the time T0, suppose these are the 5 processes and the allocation, maximum and the available, these are represented on the screen. As we can see the allocation, maximum and the available. Now first of all, the available resources are 3, 3 and 2. It means 3 for A, 3 for B and 2 for C. So the content of the matrix need is defined to be maximum minus allocation. First of all, we have to find the need, that is maximum minus allocation. So in this way, need can be represented like this. So the system is in the safe state since the sequence P1, P3, P4, P2 and P0 that satisfy the safety criteria. So in this way, if we follow the processes like this P1, P3, P4, P2 and P0, then the system will go in the safe state. So the deadlock cannot occur in this. So in this way, the Banker's algorithm can be used to find the system that should be in safe state or not. So first of all, check that this is the example. Like for example, in the previous example, we can see the P1 that is 200. Now we can see that the P1 request for the 1, 0 and 2. First of all, it will check that the request is less than or equal to available or not. As the 102 is less than equal to 332, it means we can allocate it the 102 to P1 process. So after allocating, P1 is 302. Now the available processes, now the available resources are 2, 3 and 0. Now executing the safety algorithm that shows the sequence P1, P3, P4, P0 and P2 that satisfy the safety requirements. So can request for the 330 by the P4 be granted? No. And again, if can request for 020 by the P0 be granted? No. So both the request, we can see that it results in the unsafe state. So if we request for the 102 for the process P1, then the same safety algorithm follows, which we followed in the previous example, which satisfy the safety requirement. So this is the example of the banker's algorithm. Thank you very much.